to Whip Wonderland. I am Reika and this is the channel where I talk about all my crafting. I brought you knitting, crochet, sewing and embroidery today, and we will discuss all the projects I finished in 2024. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry with the same name, Whip Wonderland, but I will link everything down below, my projects and my accounts, so you can send me a DM, you can send me questions if you have any. So let's get started. I have my computer here, so I will take a little peek sometimes because there were so many projects and I need to be able to tell you the details. We will only talk about the things which I finished this year, so things which are currently on my needles, currently on my hooks, I'm not discussing in this episode. I will bring another regular podcast episode for you soon, so I can show you all the things which are ongoing, which are actually work in progress. So these are only for finished objects. I finished 25 knitting and crochet projects this year altogether, plus 2 embroidery and some sewing, and I will show everything to you. I don't know if you know this, but on Ravelry you can set up a challenge for yourself for the year, and I set a challenge of 25 projects for 2024, and I finished that. So I finished 25 projects of knitting and crochet. I'm a bit sad that on Ravelry you cannot log embroidery or sewing. I hope at one point in life I will find an app where I can contain everything I'm making, but for now that's what we need to go with. So let's get started. The first project I want to show you is my darling cardigan, which is terrible in this lighting, and I'm really sorry for the lighting. I tried to film in natural light, but the sunshine was so weird that it basically cut my facing off. So I decided to just go for lamps instead. So the black will not really show up, but this is my darling cardigan, which I finished in March 27th. This was not the first project of the year, but I wanted to start with this because I'm currently wearing it. It is from Kamahoz's Snefnug, the yarn, and I think the size M, let me check. No, size S, because I do not like very oversized things, but I absolutely love this cardigan. Next year it's one of my goals to knit another one from something which is not pure wool, so I can actually, you know, have a heavy duty cardigan which I just throw on anytime I want to walk the dog or anything. The construction is really great. I opted for no buttons because I never really button it up, and it was a great choice. I really love this cardigan. It can be really elegant with a theater dress, you know. I actually wore it to the theater a few times this year, or it can be just casual with jeans and shirt, how I'm wearing it right now. So yeah, that's my darling cardigan. I really loved it. I bought the pattern and I started it immediately when it came out last year in October. I'm filming this episode at the end of December, 28th of December, but hopefully it will still go out in this year for you. So yeah, I started it when it came out, but we moved at the start of the year to another country. Currently I'm in Belgium, so I didn't really finish. I didn't have the brain power to work on it, so that's why it only got finished in March. But I really loved this pattern. It's 5-star. Absolutely want to make it again, hopefully multiple times. I'm dreaming of a pink tweed version and I want a dark purple one. So yeah, this is something I see myself knitting over and over again. I just need to get the yarn. It eats a lot of yarn actually. I used more yarn than the pattern indicated at the start, so I was glad because I bought 10 balls of the wool before in advance, and then I used 8 ball of wool, and I think I should have only used 6.5 or so. So yeah, it eats the yarn a lot, especially the button band, because the button band is on number 3mm needles, and the cardigan I think was knitted on 5mm needles. So yeah, a lot of yarn, but if you count with that, it's a wonderful knit and it's so versatile. I really love it. So that's the thing I'm wearing, because I always wear it around the house and when I'm going out. I really love it. So let's start with projects which are not on Ravelry, so they are not in the 25 finished projects, they are extra. One thing that was new for me this year that I wanted to try, and I did try and I fell in love with, was embroidery. I decided to order a kit from Whimper's Embroidery from the UK, and the first one I made is this one, the yellow sofa. And it's really handy because the kit has everything, even this hoop bag. I think she calls it the game changer, which you just press on and you don't have to sew the fabric in. And all her kits are designed for beginners as well, so you can just learn the basics, you can learn the stitches, and I really enjoyed that. It took me a long time to finish this. It took me some 2 months, I think, to make this. I was quite slow and I worked on it on and off, but I really enjoyed. And I also ordered another kit from her, actually 2 more, but I finished only 1 more, which is this one, and I'm absolutely in love with this one, and I made this in 3 days. The obsession absolutely kicked in. Currently my favorite stitch is this rose stitch. I forgot the official name of it. Yeah, it just, everything was so high quality in the kit, and the guidelines, the instructions, everything was so well written that I didn't have any problem learning these things, and I enjoyed myself a lot. So embroidery became one of my hobbies after this. I'm currently working on another embroidery project, but since I didn't manage to finish it, I'm only showing these 2. I will have a link down for her shop, to Impress Embroidery. It's sort of like an affiliate link, not really an affiliate, but it's a recommendation link, so I can get some store points if you use them, and I think you get some discounts if you use them. I think it's £5 off of your purchase, something like that. Anyway, I will link it down below if you want to check her out. She has wonderful projects, and I'm definitely making more of her designs. Yes, so, and the other thing which is not on Ravelry is sewing, and I did some projects. I did some mending and curtains and things like that. I'm not showing that, it's not that exciting, but I finally managed to finish one of the long-term projects. So I know this doesn't look sewing, but the basic of this bag was the crochet bag. It's on a fake leather, faux leather base, and I crocheted this back then when I lived in Prague, but I never did the lining, so I didn't use it before. So this year when I took my sewing machine out, I just did the lining of the bag, and I can finally use it, and it was a great choice because I used it a lot in the summer. I started a craft group in the city I live right now, and oftentimes I just shove projects in it, and I'm taking this to the craft meetup. So that's one of the sewing projects. And the other sewing project is one of my absolute favorite makes of this year, and it's a backpack. So as I mentioned, I started the craft group, and sometimes we bring things we want to discard or give away to the members. And one time a member brought a bunch of fabric, and I fell in love with this red fabric, and I made a matching set of like a little pouch and a backpack. So this was the first time for me of making backpacks. Oh my, I found a pin in my backpack. Uh-oh. Okay, I will need to figure out how to take it out because it's in between the lining. Well, things happen. I didn't even notice before. So this was my first time making a backpack, and I enjoyed this project a lot because I finally could, you know, just go after my vision. I love to create things based on an idea I have, like designing my own things sort of, but you know, I'm not writing patterns or things like that, so I wouldn't call myself a designer, but I love to sew, I love to crochet based on an idea I have, and I just make things up. That's how I made the other crochet bag as well, and I have another one in the making which is not finished. And with knitting, I cannot yet do that. I started to experiment a little bit this year with that, but my knitting is not that, I'm not that experienced in knitting how I am in crochet and sewing. I learned to crochet, to knit, to sew from my mom and my grandma, and basically how I learned to sew was to make up our own thing, let it be a skirt or a bag. One of my favorite things to make is bags. I don't know why, that's how I am. And I needed to learn later on how to follow a sewing pattern. So that was kind of like the other way around for me, not like based on patterns and then I got on with my own things, but to do my own thing and then learn how to follow a pattern. With knitting, it's the other way around, because I relearned how to knit later when I'm an adult already, and I learned how to read knitting pattern, and just now I'm starting to design my own things in knitting. So yeah, that's a difference, and I really enjoyed that I could get back to following my instincts, to following what I know, to following what the fabric gives me, because how I sew is I get inspired by a fabric. I usually use fabrics for things which are not intended for those things. So for example, I have a bag which I made out of fabric which was meant to be upholstery fabric. Totally normal for me. And I could do this again. So this was the beautiful red fabric. I used up almost all of it. There is some straps I didn't attach at the end, but that's the last bits of it. And I'm really happy I got to make, it's full, so I'm not going to open it, but it's just a little pouch. You can see the little thing here. It's my my label from the time I had a shop in Hungary. I had a little handmade business in Hungary, and I got some labels left over, so I'm using it for my creations now. And yeah, my first time making a backpack, and I'm really proud of myself because I managed to make like straps which are adjustable, and inside there's a tiny pocket here which is so well lined up that sometimes I forget it's there. And one pocket in the back just for, you know, tissues and such. And one of the things I love to do when I make bags is to have a carabiner or like something like this to hold keys, and this became like my everyday bag and my gym bags, so I keep my locker thing here, but I also like put my keys on there, so when I'm getting home I don't have to, you know, deep dive in my backpack. I just take it on one shoulder, open up, and it's on the side where the zip opens. So yeah, it has a round bottom, but it has, you know, a straight up. And I was inspired by a project bag by Redesign Project, and which is a leather bag, and it's wonderful, and at one point I would love to buy it, but I didn't have the budget for it. And when I saw this fabric I was like, yep, that's what I'm making. And originally I wanted to make a project bag, but I ended up with the backpack because I was like, why not? It, you know, just the idea just took me, the fabric just took me, and I really enjoyed the process. I actually filmed it, I just need to edit it, and it will be up in the channel hopefully soon. I'm planning to release it sometimes in January, you will see. So yeah, that's my backpack project. And I just realized I have one more sewing project to show, so give me a moment and I will bring it. I'm back. So after finishing my backpack, I was like, okay, but I still want the project bag. I still need a big project bag, which is good for like sweaters and stuff, because I have only one big project bag, which is currently occupied, and I wanted another one for another project. So I made an actual project bag, same constructions, like round bottom, straight up, has my little label, has a drawstring closure, has some lining, doesn't have any pockets, and it's currently housing one of my whips, which I'm not going to show right now. You will need to wait and watch the next podcast episode. So yeah, this was just some old fabric I had, which was a little bit sturdier. I will at one point make another one with a similar construction, but I want a different closure because this one is not working how I want it to be, but I don't want to redo it because I actually really like how it looks, and I don't need to close it the same all the way through because I'm just keeping it in the armchair, so as long as I'm working on this. So those are all my sewing projects and my embroidery. Let's move on to all the things which are on Ravelry. I will go from January until today, and there are some things I cannot show you because I already sent them, already gifted them, so I will just put up a picture here with the things which I cannot show. And the first thing I cannot show is a crochet bow which I made for friend's dogo. We spent the New Year's Eve with them, and I finished it January 2nd, and I gifted them after. So I will just put up a picture. That's just a really simple crochet bow. My dog has the same as well, and I think I will make another one for some events next year. The second thing is a pair of socks, and it will be weird to show it because I'm wearing them. These are my rainforest socks. These are from Regia, I think. Let me double check. And I finished them in January 6th. Yes. No, it's Relana Garne Flotte Socke. Another German sock yarn. It's fingering weight, 4-ply, and I used the pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady. I learned how to knit socks based on her videos, and then later I bought her patterns as well because I didn't want to watch the video all the time, and I really like how she writes her patterns. It's very straightforward for me, easy to follow. So I made these socks. I started them in 2023 and I finished them January 6th on 2024. I make size medium, and I followed the pattern on vanilla socks on Magic Loop. That's how I like to make my socks, or 9-inch circulars. It depends. Right now I'm mixing these, so I make the leg and the foot on 9-inch, and I make the toe and the heel on Magic Loop. Usually that's how it goes. Yeah, I need to knit more socks because I realized that that's what I like to wear. I really like to wear the socks I knitted for myself, so I want to make more next year. But yeah, that was my first big project of the year. And I made a Masabar hat for my friend. I finished it January 21st, and I cannot show it, so I will put up a picture because I already sent it to him back then. It was a bit late birthday and Christmas gift for him, but he really likes it. He said it's really warm and good to wear. Yes, the next one is another thing I cannot show, so we are moving really fast here. It's a pair of socks for my partner, and these are also vanilla socks on Magic Loop. I will put up a picture. I finished them on January 29, but I messed something up with the gauge, and one of the socks was okay and the other one turned out huge. I don't know what I messed up. I measured. I think it's my gauge. I think I might have changed needles, and that could have been the problem. So I need to frog one of the socks, but I didn't have the heart to do it. I think I would just need another pair for him instead of frogging this one, and we will see. Yeah, so finished January 29. Again, followed the pattern of the Crazy Sock Lady, the vanilla socks on Magic Loop. That's my sock pattern basically. Yeah, and gave to him, but he doesn't use them because it's too big. One of them is too big. It's weird size difference. So finally, a thing I can show. It's another Masabar hat, but this one is for me. So this is the Masabar hat by Isolde Teague, and the yarn is from Red Rosaria Rosa Pomar, and it is Mondim, one of my most favorite yarns ever. And I made it for myself. You know, you can turn it inside out. It's basically just a huge one-piece thing which you turn like this, turn like that. It's really warm. I love to wear it. but I'm actually thinking of reknitting it, because when I made this, I still knitted the way I learned, which is to knit through the back loop, and when I do the purl, I do from down to up and not from up to down, how everyone else does. Turns out this is some regional thing from my home. My mom knits the same, my granny knits the same. So if you see, I don't know how much it shows, but this looks like ribbing, and it's not ribbing, it's just my knitting. It's just a twisted knit stitch all the way. And later in the year, I relearned to knit. I learned how to knit how everyone else does, how to purl, how to knit, and now my knitting is much more even. You will see that later. Yes, I finished this in February 20th. I started them, one second. I started them February 1st and finished it February 20th. It was a really fast knit, and I cannot wait to knit more. This is an amazing pattern. It uses almost 100 grams. You can use up the whole 100 grams. I used a little bit less because I like how it sits on my head right now. And I usually make the adult medium. Yes, so there is that. The next project is what I call my prog shawl, but it's actually a pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady. And it's called The Home is With You. Home is where you are, something like that. Let me check. Home is With You by the Crazy Sock Lady, and it's a wonderful shawl. I started it in September 16, 2023, and I finished it in March 2nd, 2024. I used Filcolana Arvetta in 2 different colors. It's knit on 4mm needles, and it's an amazing shawl. Basically, this is my everyday shawl. I'm just throwing it off when I need to leave the house quickly, when I go to the shop, when I need to walk the dog, whatever. I think it's amazing. It's a good size to cover my chest, cover my neck. I can even pull it up like this. I have many times problems with my sinus, so it's important to cover myself. I loved to knit this. I realized how much I love to knit shawls and how I enjoy lace with this shawl, and this basically started the shawl addiction for me. But this was the first one. And why I call it my Prague shawl is because I bought the yarn in Prague. I started it in Prague, but meanwhile we moved to Belgium, to Liège. So we moved to Belgium, so I finished it in a different country. It was kind of a memory from Czech Republic, Prague. Now I need to find my next thing. What have I done? Oh yeah, okay. So the next thing was headwear. Is the 21st century Austin Heroine bonnet, which is an adult bonnet pattern by, I will tell you by who, by Kate Fustich. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it was a great pattern actually. There's just some garter, there's some garter here as well. It's really simple, straightforward, and I can't see to make this again for someone else. It's a huge bow thing. It doesn't look particularly good on me, but sometimes warmth is more important than how I look. I made it using Filcolana Arvetta again, which is a good sock yarn, and it's relatively cheap, so it's good for, you know, projects which you would use a lot and maybe you would want to replace at one point. I used the same pattern again later to make up a baby bonnet. I just changed the proportions, so it worked out great. So this is my bonnet. I started it in March 14 and completed it in March 25. I need to restart it because first my gauge was all over the place. But then it worked out. The next one is the Darling Cardigan by Kutova Kika, which I already mentioned. I love it. And the next one was a tunic from the anchor shirt. Anchor shirt. I don't know how to say that. It's a pattern by Petite Knit. It's a well-known pattern, and I made it using yarn which I got from my granny, I think. So there was no yarn ball, label, nothing. I don't know what the yarn is. I think it's a cotton yarn or cotton mix. At the end it was quite thick and a little bit heavy, and it became a tunic, and I gifted it to my mom. So I will just put up a picture. I cannot really show it right now. And I started it in December 19, 2023, and I completed it April 5th, 2024. I wore it once and then I gave it to my mom. It's a good pattern, but I always have problem with Petite Knit patterns. I think my brain doesn't work the way how she writes her patterns. So later on I made this again, and I'm planning to make it again, but with few twists, so it works for me actually. The next pattern is quite exciting, at least for me. It was my first ever test knitting, and it's the Ginkgo Biloba top by Greener Makes by Maria. And this is it. And I made it using Knitting for Olive pure silk. And it uses just under 2 balls, at least the cropped version. There's a cropped version, there's a long version, waist shaping optional. So actually you can make 4 different tops with this. I'm quite short, so I needed to shorten the straps even shorter than the pattern expects. And I think I did one more repetition of the body because of my proportions. It was a wonderful experience to have this as my first test knit. Maria was really supportive and nice, and the test group was amazing, everyone helping everyone. I learned a lot about my knitting, I learned a lot about knitting patterns, so it was a great experience. And I already started another one because I just love this pattern. I started it April 12th and finished it May 18th. And if you follow me a little bit already or know me at all, you know that I like to remake the same patterns over and over and again if they work. And there was a pattern which worked very well for me, and it was the Sailor Swift top. I enjoyed making it, and I enjoy wearing it. So I actually have 2 of the Sailor Swift tops, different designs and different materials. So this is made by Filcolana Arvetta, and this is Knitting for Olive pure silk, and it's kind of an ombre thing, at least that was the idea. This turned out a little bit too big with the armholes, and I not yet figured out what I want to do with it. I'm still wearing it, it's just a bit lower, it's more like a sports top or such. And yeah, and this one is just lovely because this one is a wool mix. You can wear it later on as well, not just in the summer. I finished this one in May 28th and finished this one June 29th. So this I started March 1st, and this one I started April 1st. No, this one I started May 1st, this one I started April 1st. Yes, April 1st, May 1st, finished May 28th, June 29th. So basically it took me 2 months each time to make it. It's not because it's a slow pattern, it's just I'm usually working on more things parallel, so I'm not focusing on one thing. Yeah, that's it. And meanwhile we got our light back. Sun changed position, so I can actually film in natural light again, which is much better. See, the color is so much better. Yeah, so Sailor Swift tops, love them. Probably will make another one in cotton because I'm experimenting with different materials and different patterns. If you would see the mess I'm making around me. Anyway, next one is my other favorite make of the year. So one of my favorite make is the backpack, and my other favorite make, there are 3, other favorite make is my Jupiter crop. So this one is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and I started this when I was in Lisbon. I spent my birthday in Portugal, in Lisbon, at the end of May, and I knew well in advance that I want to get a kit for this sweater from Ravelry Rosa Palmar, which is one of my ever favorite yarn shops. And one of the goals for this year for me was to try an embroidery, and another one is to knit a colorwork sweater. It was even on my vision board for the year. And so this was my colorwork sweater. It's a cropped design, that's why it's called repeated crop. So it ends in my waistline, and it works lovely. I wore it a few times this year, not as much as I wanted to. I'd actually wore it at Christmas time. If I find a picture, I will put it up. I don't know. One of the things which was weird though, it's a lovely pattern, well written, good to follow. The charts are great, and I had zero problem doing this. Only thing I had a problem with is that it contains short rows, and the short row placing was not in the middle. I don't know if it was me screwing up something, because I'm not experienced with short rows that much, or it was the pattern, but the short rows were, so you have the beginning of the round, sorry, that was the dog. You have the beginning of the round marker here in the middle of the back, and the short rows start, and the short rows don't cross back to pass the beginning of the round marker, so they end up on the side, actually on the back, which is weird. I think it should be in the middle of the back, and yeah, I don't know, it was weird. So I started this project again with cotton yarn, which is a weird thing to do with color work, but I'm trying. And I just omitted the short rows because I really don't need it. I don't think it makes such a big difference, and the pattern otherwise is great. So this was a whole kit, sweater kit, my first time buying sweater kits. And this is Red Rosaria Vovo yarn, which became one of my absolute favorite yarns. It's a sport weight yarn, and it's just lovely. It's rustic but not itchy. It's super warm, super great to work with, not releasing a lot of color when you wash it. And I don't know if you can see, but it's just so even after blocking. I'm actually super proud of my floats. I will try to show. I'm so proud of myself. My first big colorwork project, and it turned out great. So yeah, this is my second of the three, like not in placement second, but two of my favorite makes of this year. And the third one will be later on. Stay tuned. Yeah, I started it May 31st and I finished July 27th. It took me a while because I can only do color work sitting down watching the charts. I do not want to mess it up, and I had one point when I needed to go back one round, and just picking color work is not fun. So this is not a project I'm taking with me when I'm going out or I'm going to a craft meetup or something. So it took some time. The next thing, as I mentioned, I like to make the patterns which worked for me again and again, and I decided to give the anchor shirt by Petite Knit another chance, and I made it a little bit twisted. So the pattern is originally for DK weight yarn, but I had some leftover Filcolana Arvetta and I had some Regia sock yarn, and I wanted to try if I can make it sort of vintify it, like to make it vintagey, and I did. So I did stripes. I went one size up in a size chart, and I used fingering weight yarn instead of DK, but the same needles, and I think it turned out great. So I knitted straight for under the bust, and then under the bust I immediately sized down on needle and started the rib, and I made a huge rib. And yeah, so it's a little bit more cropped and it's a little bit more vintagey, and I just found one end which was not woven in. I don't know how, because I already wore it. Love it. I wear it a lot. Only thing is it got stained from my deodorant and I don't know how to get it out from wool. but it's lovely and I enjoy it, and I'm actually planning to make it again after I made some changes so the pattern actually work for me. It was great. Yeah, it's enjoyable to knit. It's simple enough. Oh yeah, and I won yarn chicken, but it was really hard. And if you see, there are a lot of bumps in the cast off edge. It's because I ran out of yarn during the cast off, and I needed to weave in the ends on the project, cut off the ends and tie them together to be able to do the cast off. It was an issue, but I'm happy with the result, and I like to wear it, and I actually want to make it again. Yes, I started that project May 27th, so I took it as a simple project with me to Portugal to travel, because I like to knit in the airport or in the airplane when I need to wait a lot, and I actually needed to wait a lot because I got my flight got delayed, and I was quite nervous, so it was good to occupy my hands. And I finished it August 13, so well later than I got back, because when I got my Jupiter crop, I just jumped on that and I was full focused on that. I couldn't, I couldn't be bothered with anything else. I was just obsessed. The next thing I made is a hat for my partner, and it's sort of a made up thing. So he loves bats, and I wanted to make him a bat hat. And then I made some stripes because the theme, Corinthians, which is his theme, is black and white. So it was a perfect choice. He really loved it. I didn't use a pattern or like half use a pattern. So I started this as a cowl by Jamie Lomax, Pacific Knit Co. I think that's her Instagram handle. Based on the Autumn Doodle cowl. And the bats are doodles from her set. I think I have the autumn doodles from her. Yeah, I think I have 2 sets of doodles from her. And I just did the doodle part straight, and then I did some stripes, and then I just made like some decreases quite evenly. And that was it. It was really simple. Started it September 2nd, finished September 21st, and it was one of my entries in the Colorful Knitted Autumn Cowl, which I was hosting in the autumn. I used just leftover yarns from my stash. I didn't even have any info on what yarn it is. It's mostly acrylic mix, but it's better choice for him because when we first started dating, I made him a hat and a shawl out of BC Garn Northern Lights wool, which is a pure wool thing, and he put it in the washing machine. So now the set is suitable for kids. So I decided no more wool things for him. He will get super wash, or he will get acrylic mix. So that's what it is. Yes. Then I had another test knit, which I also really enjoyed. Bella from 100 Acres Wool, something like that. So it's Isabella. She had made a pattern, the Amoretta blouse, and I absolutely adore this pattern. I don't know how much it shows because it's really see-through, but it's a knitted top with a crochet edge, but the pattern is so versatile. There are some shaping options, there is long sleeve, short sleeve option, you can have different finishing. So I opted for the crochet edge, but you could have rib, I-cord, or there's something else which I forgot. So there are plenty of options. It's one pattern you buy, and it's so versatile. You can make so many different tops. And I especially love I don't know how much it shows because it's dark. I love the shaping of the chest or the front or the bust. I don't know how to call that, but it's so flattering. It's not showing too much, but it's really making a nice line. Yeah, I cannot wait to make this again. And another favorite part of it is that it has set-in sleeves. That was my first time ever experiencing set-in sleeves, and I fell in love. I have yarn to make this pattern 3 more times, and I cannot wait to cast on. I want to have some short sleeve option, and I want to have long sleeve option. It's just, I need to clear my needles a little bit because I have too many projects ongoing. This I started August 14 and finished September 24th, which was the deadline actually. I had some challenges, I learned a lot, but the testing group was amazing and Isabella was amazing. I really enjoyed this test knit. It gave me confidence, it gave me a lot of support. I used Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, also became one of my favorite yarns. 2.3 skeins of the blue teeth. There are some more left for me to make another design. Yeah, I absolutely love this. One of the things I think I wore the most from my knits, apart from this and you know, hats and shawls, so like tops I made, I think that was the one I wore the most. Next thing is something I cannot show, but I will put up a picture. Two of my friends had babies this year. One of them I put together and sent her a little, you know, welcome baby package or something like that. I don't know how you want to call it. And I made a baby bonnet based on the Austin Heroin bonnet pattern, but I made up my proportions, so I cast on different kind of amount of stitches, and I just sort of went as I go. It turned out great. It fits the baby and they really loved it, and I used cotton yarn. I finished it September 30th and I started it August 24th, so it was really fast knit, and I used Alize Bella Solid yarn, which is a organic cotton yarn. I think it's Turkish, I'm not sure. The next project is something I really enjoyed, really loved. Okay, so backstory. I love to crochet. I was first a crocheter before I became a knitter, and I'm much more experienced and much more comfortable with crochet. I can generally just make up my own things. You will see I have another project which I made up this year. I feel really comfortable with crochet, but I got some injuries with my right hand, and crochet can hurt my hand after a while. So I tend to not crochet, and for a while I stopped completely. That's when I picked up knitting again. And this year I started to venture back a little bit, crochet with caution and with knowing that I need to, you know, do some exercises with my hand and be careful. And I had the project which made me fall in love with crochet again, or sort of remind me why I love crochet so much. One of my friends moved overseas in 2023. We were colleagues before we became friends, and when she moved, she said that she has a half-done project, a blanket which she cannot take with herself, and if I want to have it and finish it. I said sure, and so she gave me the half-done project and gave me the yarn she had left over, which I used up, and then it was not enough to finish up the blanket, so I bought more yarn, respecting the color choices. And I call it the friendship blanket because anytime I worked on it, and now when I use it, it just makes me think of her, and our connection and our memories. I picked it up sometime in the spring. I don't have a date for that. I don't know when she started. I got it sometimes last year I think in August, but I only picked it up this year after we moved in the spring, and I completed it October 1st, 2024. And it's really hard to show a blanket, but I will try. So this part is what she had until like this. Yeah, until this, I think. And then this was the yarn from her, but I already mixed it with yarn from my stash. And when I ran out of that, I just bought yarn in the local yarn shop, which were similar consistency. Not consistency, fibers. Yeah, it's a wool acrylic mix, which is perfect for a blanket because it's warm, but it's, you know, it's washable. and then I ended up doing a crochet edge with purple. I don't know if you saw that. I absolutely love this, and what is surprising that my partner absolutely loved this. He's often reaching for it to, you know, just put it in his lap when we watch TV or things like that. Even sometimes he fell asleep under this, and it just makes me so happy that this became, you know, part of our home. Yeah, I really love it. So it's a mix of yarns. What I bought in my local yarn shop is the Lamy Yarns Canada, and I bought a bunch of colors which were matching the color changing yarn she had before. I know she bought her yarn in Flying Tiger, which is a knick-knack shop. It's Dutch, I think, but I couldn't find obviously the same yarn because it's time, you know, these things are changing. But it's done. I think I didn't even show it in the podcast yet because I missed some months, but I'm really happy with it. And just the easiness of this was my evening project. Whenever we watch something, it's so mindless for me. It's in my muscles, in my bones, you know. I don't have to focus on it to make it happen, and it just like blinked to and blinked to, and it was done. So really happy with this. Calling it the friendship blanket. Finished it October 1st. Yes. The next one is another blanket, but it was a baby blanket, and I will put up a picture because I also sent it in a baby package along with the bonnet. I saw some pictures on Pinterest, and my friend who had the baby, she's a huge Harry Potter fan, and I wanted to make something with that. So I made a Harry Potter blanket for her little girl. I just had a bunch of organic cotton yarn in my stash, also from the times when I had my shop in Hungary and my business in Hungary, not shop. And yeah, I just picked some colors and I did some stripes, and I made it up. That's the way how I do things in crochet and sewing, and they absolutely loved it. They said it's perfect. So yeah, I will put up a picture. I finished it October 13, 2024, and I started it May 20th. So it was a while. I needed to figure some things out and measure. It was a harder start, but then when I you know got the structure, it was great. And the next one is my third, not in like order, but like the third of the three favorite projects of the year. I am absolutely in love with this from the moment I cast it on. And this is the Silta shawl from the 52 Weeks of Shawls book. It's Silta by Tiff Naylan. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. And I used Red Rosaria Rosa Pomar Vovo, and I used the gray is Vovo, and this one is Rosy Green Wool Cheeky Merino Joy. The Vovo is obviously from Lisbon, but the blue yarn we bought, I got it as a souvenir from my partner when we visited Hamburg, Germany. We went there for a concert and a long weekend. It was our summer trip, sort of. And whenever we travel, we always, you know, check out yarn shops and craft shops, and he gifted me this ball of wool, and it's such a good color, and it just matches so well with the gray. I love how textured the Silta is. I'm not sure how much it shows in the camera, but there are different structures, different type of stitches changing as you go. It's always like texture, garter, texture, garter, texture, garter, and it's really enjoyable to knit. Whenever you learn the stitch pattern, and then hop, okay, it's changing, and then you learn it, oh, it's changing. It's always exciting, it's engaging, it's lovely, and it's huge. It makes me so happy. I love to wear it. I sometimes just put it on my back when I'm having a Zoom call or things like that, or when we go to go out or travel or go somewhere a little fancier, then I'm just putting it on like this to show off the color and the structure. And I'm honestly in love with this project from the first stitch to the last to wearing. Yeah, I will get emotional. So the first time I saw it, I still lived in Prague. When the book first came out, I had the chance to hold it in my hand at the yarn shop, the Yarn Queen in Prague, but I couldn't buy it at the time. And then I just flipped through it and I saw this and I'm like, oh my god, I need this. Like, this is it. This is the shawl, the ultimate shawl. And when later I could get the pattern, then I immediately needed to, you know, think of finding the perfect yarn, finding things to use for this. And then after I finished my Jupiter crop, I was like, yep, Vovo, it's Vovo. And when we bought the blue yarn in Hamburg, I was just playing with colors and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's perfect, you know. So I made some color options for myself, which color to use, but I ended up with the gray and a blue. My winter coat is also gray, it's also wool, so it's perfect. And currently I'm knitting a matching beanie with the leftover of the blue and the leftover of the gray wool, so I will have a matching set. I started it August 8th and I finished in October 16th. I could have finished it much earlier. It's a really easygoing knit. It could be fast if this is the only thing you are knitting, but I had some test knits, I had some travels, so it was a bit slower than I expected. But I loved it, honestly. Yeah, I loved it so much that I actually knit it again. This one needs blocking, it's bunched up. So these are the leftover yarns from my Jupiter crop, and I made a mini silta. So obviously I didn't finish the pattern, but I needed a shawl which is small and matches my red beanie. We had a short trip, a one-day trip to Paris, and I wanted something handmade which fits. So that's when I remade this. Yeah, maybe the stitch pattern shows up better here. Yeah, absolutely love this. I knitted so fast. I started November 14th and finished December 11th. Again, I could have finished it earlier if I would focus only on this, but if you know me, that's not who I am. And yeah, I used Red Rosaria Rosa Pomar Vovo, just leftovers from skeins from my Jupiter crop. In between that, I had some leftovers from my darling cardigan. Still have some. I'm actually thinking if it would be enough for a pair of hand warmers or mittens. But I made an ear warmer. I don't know if it shows, but there's a twisted, like a big cable sort of in the middle, and it's just an ear warmer to put on whenever we go somewhere, because I tend to get problems with my ear if I don't take care of, you know, covering it in the cold. So this was just a made up, like, easy ribbed ear warmer. Started November 7th, finished November 12th, and it's Kamarose Snefnug, leftover from my stash. Yes, there are not many projects left, but the next one, I'm so proud of myself. I mentioned that I don't always have the best experiences with petite knit patterns, but there was something I really wanted. So I like slipovers, vests, because I work from home, I'm home a lot, and if I sit long, I get to be cold, and sometimes, you know, I move in my arm a lot. I'm baking, I'm cooking, I'm I don't know, working, and I need my arms, but my back gets cold. So I love slipovers and vests, and I wanted to have a hot pink vest, which I potentially can also work with fancier stuff, or, you know, just to make my day more colorful. And I made the Stockholm slipover in this bright and fluffy pink. The color is weird on the camera. I wish it would show up better. Okay, I tried to make something with the light, but I cannot. So yeah, this is the Stockholm Slipover by Petite Knit, and I used Filcolana Arvetta and Filcolana Tilia to make it, and it's the shoulders are problematic, but other than that, it was an easy peasy knit. It was good. Finally, something which I enjoyed making after I got through the, you know, the shoulder parts. I don't know, it's just, it's not how my brain works, how she writes her patterns, and I was a little bit messed up with some techniques and, like, you know, increases, but it worked out at the end, and it's a wonderful piece and I love to wear it. I started it January 20th, 2024. This was actually my last yarn purchase in Prague, in the Yarn Queen Prague yarn shop, which I absolutely love. And I only finished it November 30th because it spent a long time in hibernation, and I needed some help from my craft group to get this going again. It uses not a lot of yarn, and I did size S because, as I said, I don't like very oversized things, but I wanted it to be something I can put on, you know, a white shirt or like a white collared shirt, something like that. And I have a hot pink skirt which I want to wear this with. It's really, really warm. It's the color Hibiscus and Azalea, if you want to make it, but I will link the projects down below so you can check it. Yeah, turned out to be a piece I love to wear, but I did not love to knit it at first. After I joined it in the round, it was great. I enjoy plain stockinette a lot. Yeah, and the color is wonderful. I will try to put up a better picture because the light is not great. Sorry, Belgium. It's never ideal to film here. Okay, let's move on. We don't have a lot of projects left. Okay, there is a project I don't have. Why? What happened? Okay, one project disappeared from my Ravelry. Oh no! I actually finished 26 projects, but I just realized I did not put the complete on my Ravelry. So of course it doesn't show up. So let's bring that on, because that's another vest, and one which I absolutely loved to make. This was leftover yarn from my Sunday sweater, and this is the See My Vest Chunky, which is really simple vest design, intended for beginners, but I just loved it. It was perfect for my yarn weight. I think it's called Hunter Green. It's Camarose Snefnog. Again, I love that yarn, and it's just so cozy and comfy and quick to knit. And this was the thing I knit while we were watching the Olympics. I think I made it in 4 days, 3, something like that. So I need to put there the complete date. Yeah, absolutely loved it. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Highly, highly recommend, especially if you're a beginner. It's great, and you can customize it a little bit, the length, the armhole depth, you know. It's just great, especially if you use a yarn like this. It's so soft, it's so warm, it's a perfect piece to, you know, have as a layering piece. Oftentimes when we go out somewhere for a day or something like that, I like to have, you know, a long sleeve and then put on a vest and then put on a sweater, because it keeps my back warm, and I can just, you know, take it off anytime and shove it in my bag. It's not that big. So I started it on July 28th, and I think I finished August 2nd, 3rd, something like that. I need to check what I did because I don't know why I didn't put the complete there. Anyway, let me get back to my projects for this year. So apart from this, we have 2 projects left. One of them is a hat. It's a hat for the same friend who I made the baby package for, and it's just a simple hat which I made up. I used some leftover yarns, acrylic wool mix. The purple is Canada from Lamy Yarns, and the black, I have no idea, it's the black leftover from my partner's hat. And I started the hat from the top using the Musselburgh hat pattern, but I didn't need the whole tube. I just went until the half, and then I made some ribbing and just cast it off. Yeah. And I still need to send this to her. She was, one of our phone calls, she said that it's so windy at their place and it's cold, so I thought it would be great for her. And my last finished project for this year, and I think there will not be more, maybe I will finish a sock, but who knows, then is actually a really old project, and it's not 100% done because I need to weave in and snip the ends. But around 12 years ago, oh yeah, so the hat I started, December 13 and finished December 21st. Sorry, adult medium size of the Musselburgh. So the last project is a project which I started around 13 years ago when I first moved to an apartment out from the dormitory. I was still in university, and I wanted to make a blanket, a crochet blanket, sort of like sunset colors. That was the idea, to make a bunch of granny squares and then join them together and make like an ombre, like sunset kind of thing. And I bought some yarn. I don't know what I was thinking, because checking now, I clearly didn't have enough yarn for even half of a blanket. But I found a bunch of granny squares I made and some of the yarn left, which I had. So I decided to put them together as a vest, and that's how it looks. So I joined these granny squares with this darker color, and I knit. So everything else is crochet, but I knit the armhole rib and the bottom rib, and then I crocheted the edge just to keep it structured, and I need to weave in and snip the ends, which are not woven in. Most of them are, like, I like to weave in my ends as I go, but you know, there are some which I needed to do. And then it will close like this, so it's a bit different shape. It will close like this, and I either put there button or ribbon, but as the knitting and crochet is done, I consider this done. And I picked it up in November and finished it December 27th. So the granny squares were already done. I needed to do like 10 more to have enough, and then I needed to do the rib, and I needed to crochet at the edge, and that's it. So that's my last project, and turns out it's not 25, it's 26. I just didn't take a good care of my Ravelry. Hello, editing Rika here. So after filming the video, I finished one more item, which is a pair of socks. I will put up a picture after this, and I just wanted to show you that, yeah, one more finished item for the year. So actually, I ended up with 27 finished objects for 2024. Yes, it's a lot of things. I will try to show. This is one batch. Yes, this is one batch, and I have another batch which I will not be able to show. Yes, I loved this year crafting wise, otherwise it was really hard, but all the things I get to experience. I went to my first craft fair, I went to my first yarn festival. Yeah, I visited new yarn shops in different cities. I learned new techniques. I learned provisional cast on. I learned short row shaping. I learned how to do color work better, because I did my first color work project last year, but this year I did a whole sweater and I plan to do more. I overall learned a lot about patterns and shaping, and I want to continue with that journey, and I have big plans for the next year. But that is for another video, which I will film later, so stay tuned because that will come as well. Thank you so much for watching this, for sticking with me to check in all the projects I did this year. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for watching my episodes. Thank you for texting me on Instagram, because I made some really nice friends on Instagram in the crafting community. And yeah, Happy New Year, and I hope you also had a wonderful crafty year. See you again. See you soon. Bye.